All right, we're back on Women Talking Football, WTF for short, very purposefully named that. But we...
Not WFT.
Not WFT. Let's make that very clear. All right, so we have mentioned realignment talk is coming up. But before we get to that in the next couple of weeks, we did want to take some time, man. It is step bomb season. It is coaching change season to run through some of the biggest coaching changes that you may have missed. First off, I mean, from a national perspective, it was the news that came out last night. We were actually on a plane heading back from New York when... we got back, I turned my phone off of airplane mode, and I got a notification from ESPN, and I looked down, and I was like, oh my God.
It's
Nick Saban.
It's one of those, like, it was kind of the same with, like, Tom Brady retiring, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he did it twice, but, like, it's kind of the same news where it's like, is that actually real, or did somebody just leak something, you know? Because it just felt like Nick Saban was one of those coaches that was going to coach until he couldn't anymore.
Right.
Like, physically could not coach anymore.
Yeah, almost like a Bill Snyder in the way, you know?
Right, exactly. I mean, he's just such a legend. It's like, you know, why not keep going?
Right.
You know, but, you know, times are changing and stuff, but what an unbelievable mark that he's left on the college football world.
Right, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's been insane, and Tepper and I talked about it a little bit earlier, like, we both in our lifetime, really, in our sports consciousness, can't remember a time that Alabama hasn't been basically on top.
Yeah.
There was a couple of years, like, when Texas won the when Texas won the national championship in 2005, they weren't necessarily, like, the dominant force. Alabama wasn't. But by the time that Texas played them in Alabama, or played Alabama in the national championship in 2009, I mean, that was the beginning of this crazy stretch that he's had 6 national championships there alone, 7 in total in his career, everything like that. And so, yes, obviously, does that directly affect what we usually talk about on this show? No, but one of the first things I looked at you on the plane yesterday and said was Texas fans are going to start sweating for a minute.
Yeah.
Because of Steve Sarkisian.
Could Sark be a possible candidate? You know, like, and I looked at you and I was like, I bet you Dan Lanning is probably the number one, you know, candidate for that job. Of what he's done at Oregon this past year or so, he's just been incredible in building up this insane program as a Pac-12 powerhouse. And then the news, of course, came out today that he announced that he's not going to be taking the Alabama, like, don't even consider me a candidate because that's just not what he wants. So then, yeah, it kind of makes you think, like, oh, is that more of a lateral job now for Sark?
Right.
What is Texas a better job than Alabama is? You know, I mean, they made the playoffs, and I guess Alabama did too, but it's like, now that Texas is moving to the ICC, do you see that more as a lateral move for Sark?
Well,
which is crazy to even say something like that now.
Right.
You know?
And it really, I mean, if you look at Steve Sarkisian's contract, he gets $7 million a year. That's 11th in the SEC.
Yeah.
He gets paid less than Eli Drinkwitz, less than Lane Kiffin, like less than a lot of those guys. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of that in and of itself, when we were talking about it earlier on TFT, is shocking enough as it is. I don't think, if you want my personal opinion, and obviously I have no inside scoop on what is happening right now at Texas, I think that Steve Sarkisian's agent was definitely in the office today going, all right, what's his race?
Yeah, right.
What is his race? Because you can't be the 11th paid coach in the SEC and expect him not to at least flirt with the idea of going at Alabama.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Sarkisian, I think there's a couple of things why. One, I think Del Conte is going to open up his pocketbook or the donors' pocketbooks, and he's going to get a raise. There's no doubt that this was such a good thing for Sarkisian. He comes off of playing in the college football playoffs, and now the head coach at the longtime tenured program that he was the offensive coordinator for right beforehand. I mean, he came from Alabama. You know, he led their probably most prolific offenses that they had under Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. This is fantastic for Sark because he's going to get a pay raise and he's going to get to stay at Texas. He's put so much effort into that recruiting class. They've got an incredibly good recruiting class right now. Mm-hmm. And you're, like you said, you're going into the same conference as they are. You have every right, but he does need to get a pay raise. That will happen. If it hasn't come out already, then it will be coming out soon because there's no way they're definitely going to talk to him.
Right.
They're going to try and contact him if they haven't already. Mm-hmm. But he would be a clear candidate for the job.
I think so too. Well, and also you're getting your quarterback back too in Quinn Ewers. So it's like,
and you have Arch Manning on the side.
You've got Arch Manning on the side. It's like, why even why even consider something like that when you basically, again, like you said, the raise is probably going to have to come.
Yes.
But man, you've got it made there.
Well, and then Sark is the one with the ball in his court at that point, because he's going, yeah, I'll go talk to Alabama. You're not going to give me a raise? I'll go talk to Alabama.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I will. And he can do that until he's going to get the raise. So it's a good day to be Steve Sarkisian, because do I think he's going to leave for Alabama? No. No, I don't. I think their recruiting class speaks numbers to the job that they've done there. I think with the news of Quinn coming back was huge. Like, this was all the perfect storm for him, and I think he's about to walk out with a lot more money in his pocket.
I think so too.
So that in and of itself, but it is interesting to see where they go from there. Because if they're top two candidates in what I would assume would be the Oregon coach and the Texas coach, then where do you go? Does that open up for someone else? Does that open up a job of, we've always talked about Rhett Lashley being right there on the ledge. Do I think that Rhett Lashley is going to go be the coach at Alabama? No. Do I think someone could leave a prolific program that would go be the coach at Alabama and that Rhett Lashley could take over that job?
Program. Yes.
And so we went through all of those coaching changes in college football over the past month or so, 2 months is when it really started. I mean, early part of December is when we had the possibility of having like 7 new coaches,
It's just a waterfall effect. I mean, it just.
And so it's like, when does that open up? Does that open up somehow in a domino ripple effect? Does that job specifically impact Jeff Traylor leaving for a different job? Like, now that door's a little bit more open than when I would say we thought it was pretty much completely shut for the rest of the remaining off season,
right?
Unless something crazy, obviously something can happen, scandal can happen, blah, 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 blah. But it's what seemed like a pretty calm waters now has like, okay, do I think someone's actually going to get poached from the state of Texas unless it's Sarkisian? No. But do I think the ripple effect could have some?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that one's big. If you haven't been keeping up with what's happening at Texas Southern, wild. Absolutely wild. Go to TexasFootball.com and go check out all the stuff that Corey Hogue is reading. Basically, the gist of it, without going too far into the weeds, is that this is a coaching job that has been open for about 2.5 months now at this point.
That's
because they couldn't get all of their board members to agree on the original hire. So they stopped. And then now they have reconvened and they still can't make up their mind on this. I think the next domino to fall is that the candidates are going to get sick of it and be like, if you don't want me that bad, then I don't want to do this. So it's a wild thing going down there at Texas Southern. I know that sounds crazy, but go read Corey's stuff on it, because it is a lot to keep up with, but it's very interesting.
Very fascinating. I don't feel like you hear that kind of situation happen at all. I mean, you see, nowadays, like, you got to decide on somebody within a couple of days, and you got to snatch them up, because, like you said, the coaching carousel is so big.
Yep.
Once one drops, the waterfall effect
it's like and then the transfer portal hasn't helped with any of that.
Absolutely.
All your team's going to leave. And it's gotten so crazy. And again, I'm not completely locked in like Corey is, so please go read his stuff. But it's gotten so crazy that some of the candidates that were open for this job have now not been signed to a re-extension at the jobs that they were currently at, because those people at the current schools got news that they were trying to leave. So they just went ahead and promoted their defensive coordinator into taking the job. And it's like, what in the world? So it is far more into that realm. I'm not going to act like I'm a expert on that kind of stuff, especially at that level. But wild stuff happening down there at Texas Southern. If you're interested in just reading like a crazy story, TexasFootball.com, go check that out. Now to what I am a little bit more of an expert in. Let's talk some high school football coaching changes. So starting off with some of the big ones, McKinney is open. Marcus Shaver stepping down after 6 seasons. He posted a 37-31 record. So McKinney open. That is going to be a highly sought after job in the DFW. You have a fantastic school district, you have fantastic facilities, you have unbelievable talent.
The fan base is huge. I mean, that is a top tier job in the state of Texas right now.
So that one's really big. I would say that the other one in the DFW right now that definitely has some head turnings has got to be Lovejoy. Obviously a smaller DFW school, but if you like the one horse town, that's the perfect job for you, because you get to be up in the Metroplex. You have a plethora of talent that comes through there. You've got fantastic facilities, all that kind of stuff, but you're still the one horse town. You're not like it's in McKinney where you've got 4 other schools that you're playing against. So Chris Ross, the head coach at Lovejoy, stepping back because he accepted the offensive coordinator position down at SFA under Colby Carthel. So he will...
Huge pull for that program.
Oh, massive. That's such a good get. Chris Ross is a good coach, guys.
Yeah.
Like, really good coach. And talk about someone who knows how to develop receivers. May I interest you in our buddy Cannon Lindbergh, who's going to be down at SFA.
Yeah.
Incredibly excited to watch all of that. But... big time stuff where we have a lot of we have tourists in our office right now. They're coming and checking it all out. Our sales guys bring in someone, I don't know who it is, but yeah, would y'all like to join Women Talking Football? WTF, not to be confused with WFT. But anyway, that's a huge... I'm very interested to see who Lovejoy ends up going after. I think it'll be a high-profile name.
I do too.
But so that's a big one. Another really big one in a big classification. Let's go out west. San Angelo Central is open. Kevin Crane has accepted a different role within San Angelo ISD after 3 seasons of leaving the Bobcats. And so Tepper and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but that... They might not have been... They might not have done so well in the recent years. That's a high-profile job. If you were from out there, I mean, that's the creme de la creme of kind of that big country West Texas, but not full West Texas, you know, like central mid Texas right there. That's it. I mean, that's a legacy program.
We funny enough, we played them in my junior year of high school in the first round of the playoffs. We had to go out there. We got our butts kicked, but that's not the point. But the fan base out there was incredible.
Yep.
And they play in that dome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at this underground, like not
it's
underground, but it's dug into the ground, and then it's like a bowl.
Yeah, it's a bowl.
Yeah, not dome, bowl. But it is the coolest thing ever. I mean, just like being a fan out there and seeing the entire town get up and go out there for you. And like you said, it's definitely one of those perennial powerhouse programs in the past, that good old West Texas feel. But that's a really cool, I mean, great facilities out there, great fan base. You always got a good plethora of talent out there.
It's a storied program.
It's a great job,
yeah. So very interested to see that one. That one usually ends up pulling a pretty big, high-profile name as well.
Yeah.
So I know it's a little bit off the beaten path, but if you're from out in that area, I mean, that's the cream of the crop right there. So interested to see. Heading all the way down south, Edinburgh Vela is open. John Campbell is retiring. Congratulations to him. 171-54 in his career record of 20 years. I believe he spent the past 13 or so at Edinburgh Vela, but really, really happy for him and his retirement. But that's another really good job down there in the RGV. If you're from that area, I wouldn't be surprised if you might see a homecoming with that one, or someone, you know, moving over to get that job. But a program that definitely has big things on the horizon. Another good buddy of ours, DJ Mann, stepping down from Lubbock Coronado after his 3rd year. They went 2-8 this past year. Just didn't end up working out the way that DJ Mann had hoped. It's sad for us to hear it. You know, we love DJ Mann. There's no hiding that. And that was him and his alma mater. But I have zero doubt that he will definitely land somewhere really good, because he's a very talented coach. So interested to see if he stays in the high school ranks, if he thinks about going up to the college ranks, but a highly sought after coach in that way. Then Jack Alvarez, our buddy who was recently out east, congratulations to Coach Alvarez in his retirement. He obviously had a coaching career west Sabine, Kirbyville, Ennis, Coppers Cove, Cuero, and Marshall. He led Cuero to the state championship, and then most recently was at Marshall. They instantly promoted Jason Hammett to take over. I believe he's the defensive coordinator out there. Basically, I don't think Tepper said it. He was like, I don't think it's the same press release, but it basically could have been, because there was no searching for it. They knew he was going, but very happy for our guy, Jack Alvarez out there. Some more notes, if you're from down in the hill country, Marble Falls hiring Carrie Thurman, or Timmerman. My bad. I don't know where I got Thurman from. Timmerman, who was the Vandergrift assistant. He was hired on December 18th. He has head coaching experience. He was the head coach at Lake Worth, the Bullfrogs, for a while. But Brian Herman has stepped down after 5 seasons. Then another one here, another big one. This is a high-profile one, but Graham Open after Kenny Davidson has stepped down. The winningest coach in Graham history announced his retirement on December 19th. He posted a 130-46 record and led Graham to the state semifinals 5 different times. He spent 2006 to 2010 in Graham as the Steers defensive coordinator. So that was a big one. That's a big one. He has been incredibly successful at Graham, has never really punched all the way through there, but I mean, 5 times
right
in the state
cusp,
semifinal, man, that hurts. But an unbelievable career for Kenny Davidson. He's loved out there too. Everyone in Graham loves Kenny Davidson, and so it'll be interesting to see who wants to follow up the legend, because that's a tough position to be in.
Yeah, and they always have a lot of talent out there too. I feel like Corey Hogue
Gotta love the construction in our building.
I know. I don't know what that is. But Corey Hogue always keeps up with them pretty well because he's out there in the Wichita Falls area up there, I should say. But they always seem to have a lot of talent out there, too. I mean, that team is stacked this year, too. So that's a good job.
And then how about this? So let's head all the way down to the 2A ranks. 2A Division I.
Yep.
Both state finalists now open. State championship winning head coach Kerry Therwinger from Timpson has decided to retire. He had a record of 183-75. He led Lady number 5 Lady to the state semifinals 3 times, and then obviously finally hoisting that illustrious state title this year after him and Terry Bussey are going to ride off into the sunset together. And I brought it up on TFT.
It's just perfect.
But I love when a coach has been at this for so long and has spent so long as a teacher and a coach and all of that to go out on top. I love that.
Oh yeah.
Like I think that's the perfect thing, and I'm just really excited for Coach Therwinger to do that. Some people might be like, "Well, why are you going to go out?" Like, no, dude, he's been doing this for years. Like, let the man go on a state championship. That rocks.
I mean, why not end like that? Unless you're, Denny Faith, right?
Yes.
Where you get one and you're like, "No, this team's
really
gonna be
good.
I'm going to come back and get another one." Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's like, why not end on a good note like that? And end with your guy too, Terry Bussey. Like, just
especially when you've reached retirement age.
Oh yeah, just do it. You know?
Retire.
Yeah.
Go spend some time with your wife.
Exactly.
Like, enjoy it.
Right.
So incredibly happy for Coach Therwinger, and we thank him here at Dave Campbell's for all the time and effort and energy he always showed us. Really, I mean, cut from good cloth human being. And then on the opposite side of that, the state finalists, the runner-ups, the Toller Rattlers, losing Jeremy Mullins. He obviously has done unbelievable things out there, and don't worry, he hasn't retired. He's going to help open Eagle Mountain High, which we're anticipating to be a 4A Division II team out of the Saginaw area. So he's going to go start from scratch. That school is opening this August. Obviously, they'll have to play for 2 years before, as like a outlawed schedule, if you will, until they can officially join the UIL and get put in a district and all of that. So those usually they try to open up on realignment years. So this realignment will show kind of they're going to play whoever they want to play, and then the next realignment they'll be in an actual district as a part of the member of the UIL, blah, blah, blah. This is like their training years. But really excited for Coach Mullins. Obviously, it's funny because there's people like Denny Faith who want to stay at the same program for all those years. There's people that like to take over, like, well executing things and stay there and keep adding to it. And then there's the coaches that he made it to the state championship. They didn't win. He's like, you know what? I want to go start over again. I want to build something up new from scratch. And there are just coaches out there that are builders. Their job is to leave a program better than they found it and to go start another one.
Exactly.
And it seems like Jeremy Mullins might be that kind of guy. Some guys like to have the success and continue the success. Some guys like to build and then stay at that one school. But Jeremy Mullins, seeing the opportunity to, hey, I took Toller here. I've built this program. I'm leaving it in better hands. The next coach will get to come into a well-oiled machine, take over, and go. I'm going to go hit the reset button and start a new program from scratch. So we'll be very interested to see what he does at Eagle Mountain High. Again, that'll open in the Saginaw area, anticipating 482. So there you go. Some coaching changes. Again, those brought to you by the North Texas Honda dealers. Those are on texasfootball.com/coaching changes. So go see that. Watch Step's Twitter. It's Step Bomb Season. team. But I'm sure plenty more of those to come. But there are some initial big ones to keep an eye on as those teams likely, I would assume, definitely try to get some of that hiring done before realignment. The other thing is coaching changes do tend to get pushed back some in realignment years because a lot of people want to let the dust settle on realignment before taking another job. So it's a lighter January that leads to a much more chaotic February in realignment years. So keep an eye on that.